All right, well, let's talk about Captain America Brave New World. Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident and must discover the motive behind a nefarious global plan. The movie stars Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, Danny Ramirez, Shira Haas, and Carl Lumbly. You know, when somebody says that they're sick of the superhero films, I get it. I totally get it. It's one of those things where you want some stories that you can get behind. Some stories that maybe are a little more grounded, or some stories that just have a little more to them. You know what I mean? It's I get it. I totally get it. And I got to say, without going too far into detail yet, this might not be the one that brings you back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Here's the thing. The acting really across the board is pretty good. Like I really enjoyed all the acting in the movie. Anthony Mackie is one of those people that just for some reason I like the guy. I've always liked the guy. The minute that he showed up in Winter Soldier, I was like, yeah, I like this guy. Of course, Anthony Mackie, had been in other roles. I mean, The Hurt Locker, I think, is the biggest role that he had before Captain America Winter Soldier. But here, as Sam, kind of taking over, and in a way, it's kind of one of those where I don't think you have to have watched Falcon and Winter Soldier to understand what Sam's going through, but it really helps if you did, because there are some through lines that kind of continue into this movie. I like him as Captain America, but there's issues that I'll get into a little bit later. Harrison Ford has been accused of kind of sleeping through roles. Not here. I think he was really good in this role. All of the things that Harrison Ford's character goes through. Of course, he's taking over Thunderbolt Ross from William Hurt, who passed away last year, I believe. Yeah, so he's taking on the mantle here, and I think he does. I think he does a great job, and everything that you expect that he should have to do, he does it, and he does it well. Danny Ramirez's character, a lot of people were saying, "Oh yeah, he's just like the sidekick, and he's just not funny, and he's what?" And I'm like, I didn't necessarily think that he was funny or not funny. He was just kind of there, right? I mean, he's fine. Like he's fine. In my opinion, I don't think he did anything to make me not like him, And I thought it was fine. Shira Haas, I'm gonna say that some of that is kind of spoilery with Shira Haas, but I think she does a fine job as well, even though there are things about her character that's a little odd. But fine. I think she did a fine job. But for me, the standout in this movie was Carl Lumbly as Isaiah. He actually got me close to tearing up at one point. There are things that his character has been through that if you hadn't watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, you won't really get. But then here, things go down, and man, his performance was really good, and it actually hit me a little bit. So yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit for this. This movie just had its premiere, but people are already talking about how bad the CG is and how bad this is and all that. I honestly didn't see a lot of really bad stuff. There's some people that said that, oh, the action seems really slow. But at the same time, I'm kind of okay with that because, Sam's human. He doesn't have the super serum. He doesn't have any of that. I was really impressed with the action. I thought the action was great. And when it comes to CG, I will say there are a couple of scenes that are really awesome. Like I really enjoyed some of these set pieces. I don't want to go into details because look, I mean, if you want to watch it, you should go watch it and see for yourself. But stuff that I thought was really cool. But the biggest problem is that I have to say it. This movie went through a lot of reshoots. This was now every movie every movie these days that has a huge budget, they do reshoots, because when they get in the editing bay, they find some things where it's like, okay, that doesn't really quite work. We got to redo that. Or, man, we really could use a scene here to connect this scene to this scene. It's really going to help. It's one of those things that just tries to, make the movie better, right? And that's really the goal of reshoots. It's fine tuning that. But from the news reports, it sounds like they refilmed like whole sequences, even like whole chunks of the movie, and it feels like it. I can't put my finger on it. I mean, I'd have to go watch the movie again and really kind of study, but it feels like there are moments that just don't quite link up from one scene to another in certain cases, and you can kind of feel that. There's also a scene that I will say that feels like the two people that are talking are not in the same room together. Like, it feels like stitched together performances. Like this guy said all of his lines, and then this guy filmed all of his lines, and then they just edited it together to make it look like they were in the same room when they really weren't. It's an odd thing, but I picked up on that, and it just felt strange. One of the things about Sam as a character is that, he's taking up the mantle of Captain America from Steve Rogers, and it's a big deal, right? And it's like, he doesn't want to be looked at as the second best. He wants to live up to that name. And he kind of, in a weird way, it almost feels like the way that he's portraying it, that he feels like he's like the B Captain America. And unfortunately, that's what the whole movie feels like. The whole movie feels like a B story. It doesn't feel like it's given the weight and honestly the attention that I think that this movie deserves. I think Anthony Mackie deserves a better story than this. It's just it feels hodgepodge, and like I said, it feels disjointed at times, and it's kind of a disappointment from that perspective, because I kind of want the best for Anthony Mackie, and I want his Captain America to do well, and I mean, story, in, I guess, the lore, I don't know what what the pitfalls of him being Captain America are. I'm just talking about in real life. Anthony Mackie got a story for Captain America that seems kind of, at best, mid-level. My wife actually made the comment that if this had come out 10 years ago, that this would have felt like a really cool movie. But unfortunately, we've had lots of years of really big movies with really big stakes, and this feels just fine. And that's kind of a bummer. I wouldn't call myself a huge Marvel fan, but I'm a pretty big Marvel fan. Like, I enjoy the stories, I enjoy the lore that they're building. All of that stuff is fun to me. And one of the things that's really cool about this movie is how they build on the lore from previous movies. And I'm talking about, I don't want to go into details, but you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. You go, oh, that's what he's talking about. Yeah, lore from movies that were kind of forgotten, like things that happen that you're kind of wondering why no one else in the Marvel universe is commenting on this thing, because it's like, it's kind of hard to miss, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see them revisit that. And I mean, in a weird way, I feel like this is also, like, in real life, this was also a tumultuous period within Disney where things were fast-tracked and things were, yeah, it was a tumultuous time in Disney's and Marvel, right? So I feel like in a lot of ways, this movie is going to be the last movie that should feel like that. I mean, I know that in a lot of movie circles, the last few years of Marvel have not been great. And I feel like this might be the last of those that's just kind of okay, Like, I don't think any Marvel movie is terrible. I mean, I think most people would say that Thor: The Dark World is the worst Marvel movie. I don't think Thor: The Dark World is that bad. I mean, sure, it's not great, but it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. So I'm kind of looking forward to the future and to see where things are taken, and if Marvel can recover and kind of maybe achieve some of the glory that they had, back at the end of Endgame and all that kind of stuff. So Captain America Brave New World. What would I say that yes, you should go see it? If you're a Marvel fan, you need to see this. It's you should see this. I mean, I honestly think that. If you're kind of a mid-level kind of, I don't really care, whatever, maybe wait, watch it on Disney Plus or whatever. But I think that this, I don't know, man. It's like I wanted this movie to be more, just because I want more for Anthony Mackie, but it just didn't quite get there. Okay, it just didn't quite get there. So I would love to hear from you though. What are your thoughts on it? You're talking to a guy who doesn't know a whole lot about the Marvel lore at large, like from the comics. So I'm making my judgment just based on what I saw. So I mean, you can talk to me about all kinds of crazy stuff, but there's no guarantees I'm going to know what you're talking about. But I would still love to hear what you think. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.